The night was cold, but the emptiness in her heart was colder. She lay there beside him, his back turned, his breath steady, lost in another dreamless sleep. The silence between them had grown louder with time, swallowing every whispered hope, every lingering kiss they once shared. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when his touch made her shiver, when his lips wrote poems on her skin, and his voice could melt her walls with a single sentence. But that time had passed, and now, he barely looked at her. The man who once worshipped her body with fiery devotion now treated her like a faded memory, something worn out, something familiar, but no longer precious.
She tried.
Every night she waited, hoped,
Longed.
her body would ache, not just with need, but with heartbreak. She would reach out, caress his back softly, run her fingers along his spine, hoping he'd turn around, hoping he'd see her again, not just look, but see. He never did. Some nights, she cried silently, the tears soaking into her pillow, muffled sobs hidden in the dark. Other nights, she touched herself quietly, imagining the man he used to be. But even her own fingers couldn't match the fire he once sparked in her. Pleasure became routine, mechanical, no longer an escape, but a reminder of what she lacked. She began noticing others. Not because she wanted to be unfaithful, but because she needed to feel alive again. Needed to feel wanted. She didn't act on it, not yet, but the hunger grew. It started with harmless thoughts. A stranger's lingering glance at the cafe. A colleague's smile that lingered too long. The man at the gym whose muscles rippled with every lift, who looked at her like she was something wild, something untamed. She was starving, and not just for sex. She was starving for attention, for passion, for those hot, endless kisses that once made her toes curl and her breath catch, for the slow dances in the kitchen at midnight, for the heated arguments that ended with her pinned to the wall, gasping his name like a prayer.
But now
they barely spoke. The day it shattered began like any other. Mundane, silent, lifeless. He left early, without a goodbye. She didn't expect one anymore. She showered, let the hot water run down her curves, hands roaming her own skin. She imagined someone else's hands, rougher, more urgent, full of need. Her breath quickened as she leaned against the tile, moaning softly. She came quickly, but it didn't satisfy her. That night, she confronted him. She wore nothing but a silk robe, her breasts almost exposed, her thighs peeking through the slit. She made his favorite dinner. She waited. When he came in, she greeted him with a soft kiss. He didn't kiss her back. "What's happening to us?" she asked, voice trembling. "Don't you want me anymore?" He sighed, rubbed his temples, and said nothing. She tried again, her voice breaking. "We don't kiss. We don't talk. We don't even touch. Do I disgust you now?" "No," he muttered, finally looking at her. "I'm just tired." "Tired," she snapped. "Tired of what, me? This marriage? My body?" He walked past her. That night, she didn't cry. She stared at the ceiling for hours, then got up, grabbed her coat, and left. Where did she go? She didn't know. The city lights blurred past as she walked aimlessly, until she saw him, the stranger. Tall, lean, sharp jawline, eyes that pierced through the night. He leaned against a motorcycle, a cigarette hanging loosely between his lips. He looked at her like she was trouble, and he loved trouble. And that's when she made the decision. He didn't speak at first, just looked at her, like he could see the heat in her chest, the ache between her thighs, the scream she'd been silencing for years. The air between them was electric, thick with a forbidden charge. She felt like she was being seen for the first time in a long time.
she stopped walking.
He raised an eyebrow, smirked slightly. "You lost, sweetheart?" His voice was rough, textured, like he smoked secrets and whispered sins. It rolled over her skin like a caress. "I don't know," she replied softly. "Maybe." He took a step forward. "Or maybe you're exactly where you're meant to be." Something about the way he said it made her knees weaken. Her heart pounded in her chest, not from fear, but from something primal. Dangerous. She was playing with fire, and for once, she wanted to burn. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered. "But you are." Their eyes locked. She could feel it. He wanted her. Not just her body, but her hunger, her brokenness, her need to be touched like she still mattered. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. His fingers barely grazed her skin, but she felt it all the way down to her toes. "You're beautiful," he murmured. "But more than that, you're starving." She shuddered. He was right, and that scared her more than anything. She didn't resist when he took her hand and led her to his apartment, small, dark, with dim lighting and the faint scent of leather and smoke. The second the door closed behind them, she felt it shift. The air between them went hot. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't need to. He kissed her. Not soft. Not careful. Hard. Possessive. Like he wanted to claim every inch of her soul. She gasped into his mouth, and he swallowed it like a secret. His hands roamed her body. Over the silk of her robe, down her hips, up her back. He didn't undress her carefully. He tore the robe open, exposing her to the cold air and his hungry eyes. She stood bare in front of him, breasts heaving, nipples hard, thighs trembling. And he just stared, devoured her with his gaze. "I want to know what he stopped appreciating," he whispered, his voice rough with desire. "I want to touch every place he forgot." She whimpered. He pushed her against the wall, his mouth moving to her neck, biting gently, sucking marks into her skin. His hands grabbed her waist, lifted her with ease, pinned her between the cold wall and his hot body. His hardness pressed against her, thick, unyielding. She moaned. Her legs wrapped around him instinctively. He whispered filth in her ear, things her husband never dared say. Dirty, sexy, painful truths. Words that made her body throb with need. He carried her to the bed, didn't rush. Took his time tasting her. He kissed down her stomach, between her thighs, and when his tongue finally touched her, she cried out. Loud. Raw. And she didn't care. It was messy. Hot. Loud. Her body writhed under his. Her fingers gripped his hair. He made her feel everything her husband forgot how to touch. She screamed, came, cried, sometimes all at once. He flipped her over, entered her slowly, and she felt every inch of him. He stretched her wide, bigger than she was used to. She gasped, clawed at the sheets, her mouth forming silent cries as he began to thrust. Not slow, not gentle, rough, fast, unforgiving. He was all power, all tension, all hunger. She felt pain and pleasure mix into something wild. Her eyes rolled back, her moans became desperate. Her body betrayed her. She came again, and again, and again. When it was over, they lay in silence, her head on his chest, his fingers lazily tracing circles on her back. She should have felt guilt, shame, but she didn't. She felt full, satisfied, alive, and terrified. The sheets smelled of him, sweat, smoke, desire. Her thighs still ached from the way he took her, the way he didn't hold back. She sat up slowly, the soreness between her legs a raw reminder of what she had done, what she allowed, what she wanted. And yet, as she stared at the stranger beside her, sleeping with lips slightly parted, body sprawled in confident satisfaction, the ache in her chest grew louder than the one in her body. This was never supposed to happen. She dressed in silence, her hands shaking. Her skin was marked, faint bruises from his grip, love bites along her throat and breasts. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror, her robe barely clinging to her. Her reflection looked dangerous, tired, beautiful, wrong, alive. It was everything she wasn't supposed to be. She returned home before sunrise. The house was still, silent. Her husband was in bed, still asleep, still turned away from her, as though nothing had happened, as though her world hadn't been set on fire. She lay beside him, wide-eyed and haunted, her mind replaying every moan, every kiss, every thrust. Her body was still humming, still wet, still swollen. Her guilt was buried under a thick layer of satisfaction. And something darker, She wanted it again. She craved it. And worse, she didn't regret it. The next days were torture. She couldn't concentrate. She went about her routine in a daze. Her husband barely noticed. When he spoke, it was about groceries or work or bills. When he touched her, it was by accident. A brush of his shoulder. A quick handoff of the keys. No heat. No spark. No passion. She was disappearing in front of him, and he didn't even look. That night, she went back.
To him.
To the stranger who didn't ask questions, who didn't want explanations. Only her body. Her moans. Her heat. He was rougher this time. His hands on her throat, his voice in her ear, saying things that made her skin burn. You're mine when you're here.
She didn't argue.
She let him use her. Take her. Ravage her. And she loved it. It became a pattern. Every week. Sometimes twice. Sometimes more. She lied. She snuck out. She made excuses. She told herself it was temporary. Just physical. Just escape. But the lines blurred quickly. She began needing him. The way he whispered her darkest fantasies. The way he'd choke her softly, pull her hair, bend her over without warning. The way he talked, filthy, commanding, hungry. He called her his little secret. And she didn't correct him. The fear of being caught made it hotter. Every kiss in dark corners. Every bite on her thighs. Every time she came with his name trembling on her lips, terrified someone might hear. But then it happened. A mistake. One careless mark on her neck. A bruise too dark. Her husband noticed. What's that? She froze. What? That mark. On your neck. She reached up, too slow.
Oh.
I bumped into a cabinet. He stared at her. Really stared for the first time in months. His eyes narrowed. Something changed in that moment. And she knew. He suspected. From then on, she felt the shift. He watched her more. Checked her phone when she wasn't looking. Asked questions he never asked before. And she became reckless. She couldn't stay away. The sex was too intense. The thrill too addictive. But the guilt started creeping in, poisoning her moments of silence. After she climaxed in the stranger's arms, she didn't smile anymore. Her laughter dimmed. She stared at the ceiling and wondered if this was who she was now. A liar. A cheater. A woman with two lives, one cold, one burning. But nothing lasts forever. One night, she came home late, too late. He was waiting. Her husband. Sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. His face was pale. Silent. He didn't speak. He just held out the screen. Photos. Her. Naked. Moaning. Spread wide. His hands on her hips. His mouth on her. Her eyes closed. Her sin captured. She felt her world stop. Who is he? He whispered. Her mouth opened. No words came out.
He stood.
How long? She couldn't breathe. You said you were lonely. I didn't know you were this desperate. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean. He slammed his fist into the wall. Didn't mean? You let someone else inside you.
Silence.
Then his voice dropped to a whisper. Broken. Hollow. I thought you were unhappy. I didn't know you hated me. Her knees gave out. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing. But he didn't comfort her. He walked out the door. And didn't come back.